Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to Kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, Internet. Welcome back to That's Silverline Show on Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim TK, and I am joined, as always, by Jose Fuentes.
Hello.
And David Rios.
Hi there.
And tonight we're going to be talking about when to know to stop working, how we can get around creative blocks and burn out by taking well-placed and productive breaks. And perhaps some of the breaks that have gone a little bit longer than we've hoped, and things like that. But yeah, I was off a week just dealing with some family stuff, but I am back. So check in, do the old school icebreaker. Jose, what have you been reading, watching, or playing recently?
I have been reading, Titan, Mouse of Might.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet comic book. And they're on issue 3, and it's just about it's crazy. Like it jumps between different eras and whatnot. But it's really neat. Check it out. Titan, Mouse of Might, and I watched Transformers the movie.
Oh,
no spoilers, but it was awesome.
Okay.
The new one.
All right. Very cool. All right. David, what have you been reading, watching, or playing?
Let's see. I haven't been playing anything. Reading just some of the Star Wars High Republic books.
Nice. Oh,
yeah. Not the comics right now. I'm trying to do everything in order. and currently I'm on one of the regular books. But once I finish this book, it will transition to the some of the phase 1 comics. So I
Okay.
did some comics. I'm trying to do everything. So I'm doing like the Insider magazine stories. I'm doing, just everything in order as I'm going along. So
Okay. Nice.
as far as what I've seen, since we last talked last week when we were off, I went and saw the Flash movie.
Okay. How's that?
Not what I had hoped for.
That's yeah.
Lots of mixed reviews, but I wasn't anywhere near the level I thought it would be. I was hoping for better. I liked some of the effects around the force lightning and things as he's as he's running along. The lightning effects and stuff like
Sure.
that. But short of that, all the other effects were pretty bad.
That's what I've heard is that they gave the studio no time to actually do VFX, so you just got like third pass edits, not anything like polished to it.
No, I'm not doing any spoilers, Vic. I just, like I said, I just wasn't that impressed overall. There were some cool aspects of it. I won't go into that much in detail, but there was a lot of stuff that I just wasn't all that impressed with. And like I said, the effects were, and that seems to be something that's going around a lot. Like the Across the Spider-Verse had some amazing effects. But then on the flip side, you've got things with a lot of the studios and a lot of the extreme work that they're putting the artists through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you kind of balance. As far as like the effects and things in Flash, it's like part of the thing I'm a little let down, but at the same time, I'm glad that they didn't, as far as I know, push everybody, well beyond their limits and all that. So I can't be that upset. But
yeah, I think I'm one of the few people that can say that I wasn't happy with Across the Spider-Verse. It wasn't bad, but for me, it was like 2 hours of fanfare with about 20 minutes of story. And I know people will disagree with me, but there was only about 20 minutes worth of story to push along a story. You know what I mean? And then that was it. I think everything else is to make the fans happy.
Yeah, I share opinion with Greg Miller on Across the Spider-Verse. It was the most as the movie that I've been most entertained by to be the most disappointed by.
Yeah,
where I loved watching it. It was like a super fun experience getting in. I felt like kind of something where I understand the cliffhanger, and maybe it will feel different once we have the next movie in the series to tie it together.
The cliffhanger I liked. I thought
see, I think
like I said,
I think having the cliffhanger though built rising to a cliffhanger is what made the rest of the movie feel like the development wasn't there or was hidden.
Right.
Yeah. For me, I've been playing a lot of Marvel Snap recently.
What is that?
It's
the figures.
No, it's the Marvel like mobile app card game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I've been doing a lot of that and some Outer Worlds.
Wasn't that made by the people who made BioShock?
Not BioShock, but they made New Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Obsidian, yeah. And reading-wise, been kind of HeroClix. No, actually, there is HeroClix, of course, but there is a new Marvel miniature game called Crisis Protocol, which is very good. Reading-wise, has been
show him, Tim. You got him on the tape on the desk.
I pulled up Sabretooth.
Heck yeah!
I need to get them painted still. But reading's been kind of taking time to sit down and read has been kind of hit or miss for me recently with family stuff going on.
Right.
But we're going back and rereading some classic horror novels. So like the Bram Stoker's Dracula, Mary Shelley.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, kind of the classics. So
Oh, and the wife and I just watched Renfield today.
Renfield's super fun.
That was hilarious.
Yes.
That was such a funny movie.
Yeah. Definitely. All right. Well, we have kind of got over what our media intake has been this week, or last 2 weeks. So let's get into tonight's topic, which is the oxymoron of productive breaks. The idea that, in order to avoid burnout or getting creative block, sometimes you need to take a break from your work. And sometimes taking a break also helps you just work better when you get back to it. On the we're going to go many ghosts of Dr. Grace from reading and Renfield. Yes, very good. I'll open the 40 guys. What has been one of your more recent or perhaps more prominent memories of encountering some sort of creative block or burnout where you felt like you just kind of worked yourself into a hole and couldn't get anything done?
I had my first ever panic attack in the last part of my first year of art school. Never had a panic attack before. And then the assignments were coming up, and due dates were coming up, and deadlines to turn the assignments in, and I never had anything pushed on me so hard, worked so intensively that I blew up and snapped on everybody.
Yeah.
That was it wasn't so much hyperventilating, because I know some people it gets real bad when they have panic attacks. Almost fugue state and whatnot. But mine was to push everybody away and just yell at everybody, and it was really bad for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first experience with having to deal with something that hit the breaking point for me.
Yeah, and kind of on that point, but college is probably the first time a lot of people encounter the idea of deadlines being put on creative work. Everyone's heard of the phrase writer's block and all that stuff, and usually you're used to the idea of at some points the art, the writing, whatever you're doing just isn't there. But when you add on the pressure of also having the deadline put on you by someone other than yourself, and then when it starts compounding and you get multiple projects, that is something that you have to take this time to get used to and learn how to cope with.
Yeah. If you get even one bit behind, you need to either ask for help or let somebody know. Don't go into it alone, because
I'm getting attacked by the sun again. Personally, this will probably be a problem all summer long.
You know what? So it's super dark here. I find it. Sometimes I forget that you're in the West Coast. You still haven't got the sun down yet.
It's only 8 p.m. over here. It's another hour and a half usually. David, how about yourself?
Kind of similar thing. First time I had issue with a buildup and just lockdown was in college as well. Art class. I just had too many projects that needed to be done in too short of a time frame, and just got overwhelmed. And I still retain that thing from time to time, because I have a lot of things, my day job, all this, plus the work that I'm doing here. Like I said, pretty much it's a full day thing. You get up out of that chair, walk over and sit in this chair and start the next round. Right. I still get it quite frequently. When I'm working on pages, sometimes I get overwhelmed and I just have to kind of jump around, and if I sit back and say, all right, I got this whole full, this full page and I got a lot of detail over here and all this stuff. Sometimes I just got to kind of just let my brain take over and say, maybe I'm going through and I'm coloring, or flattening out this character over here, and then I'll jump over and do a background element here, and then I'll jump over here, and just so that I at least feel like things are processing and things are going.
Get the change of make a variety, change up certain things.
Yeah. Because sometimes I can go through and I'll say, all right, well, like right now I'm working on a demon, so I've got his shadows and his highlight colors going, so I'll run through and I'll do all the demon ones on the page, and then just move on to the next color and do all that. But sometimes I just have to kind of break it up and just jump wherever I need to, wherever it just makes sense. Sometimes I just get tired of working on demon only, and maybe I want to go and do something with champion. Just however that works.
Definitely. And I'm truly hear that come from like a writing or from an art perspective, because I use a similar mechanism now, but as a writer that I learned from Brandon Sanderson, called brain breaks, which will get into right as we transition into talking about how we schedule our breaks, like in the process and also long term. But probably I encountered burnout pretty a little earlier on, actually, like in high school, because at the time I was also dealing with some medical issues, and so at the time, then also I, of course, being artistic minded, I took on the art classes like writing, creative writing, and theater, and also the stuff that had a lot of take home work. So all this take home work got added on to with additional studies, and then developing some health issues at the same time, and just not feeling like there's enough time in the day to complete everything before deadline. Right. So, kind of something where I, it's kind of shut down and then just didn't work on anything for a little bit.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Definitely know what you mean.
So, tanked my GPA in high school. Thankfully, I got back around to it in college, but high school was where I probably saw the some of the worst consequences of experiencing burnout. I'm sure I probably also weirded out some friends at some point, but they don't talk about it. But talking about kind of the things, like different ways that burnout can present itself, but typically there are ways to avoid burnout by structuring your work schedule, or finding coping mechanisms, or doing to work, or taking time for yourself and doing a well-scheduled vacation. But GPA is concerned, well, hopefully not as bad as mine was when I was in high school. But that's not to say you can't turn it around. I think I graduated high school at like a 2.6, and then graduated college at a 3.97 as valedictorian. So
I was gonna say I did not do well in high school.
Yeah. So we'll talk about micro breaks first, because this is the type of stuff that you can do while you're still working on projects on the same day, or while you're still in the middle of something. Not talking about like a macro break where you're putting stuff off for a week, or you're having like a pencils down day, but like something where a break where you're taking it the same day that you're working on stuff. And kind of what David had mentioned was something that I actually learned from Brandon Sanderson, just when it comes to writing, is something called a brain break. The idea is that you're taking a break from your current project while keeping your brain activated and involved. So you'll be so the idea is that you always write 2 projects at the same time. It can be in different stages. So like I'll have one thing where I'm in the middle of scripting, or if it's traditional writing, I'm in the process of drafting. And then another project where I'm in the process of pre-writing, or I'm in the process of doing edits. And so the idea is that you work on something for a set amount of time, or until you feel like you've ran out of juice on it, and then you bounce to the other project to work on that, and then bounce back and forth. The idea is that you're still working on something, you're still being productive, but you're taking a break from the thing that you're drying yourself out on, and instead giving it time to sit in your subconscious and marinate while your active brain is working on something else that's unrelated. So you're not feeling the pressure of this other project affecting the other one. And sometimes, there's a bunch of like psychological stuff that can happen here, like dopamine responses. But the idea is that you're not letting stress from one project affect the other, but you're taking the dopamine hit of being productive or getting progress done on one project and taking that dopamine hit and applying it to being productive for the next project as well. Just kind of bouncing back and forth on the same thing on the same day. So kind of like how David mentioned, he'd have, a character on one side and fights on another. This is the idea if you'd have like a draft on one monitor and then a pre-write on another monitor. And that's kind of been my go-to micro break mechanism for when I'm working on something. Jose, what do you kind of do during your work day too?
So most of my day is inking, right? And what I'll do is, as funny as it sounds, I got frustrated recently because my computer was messing up, right? Mm-hmm. So I got a new computer, and now everything is running like butter, like it's supposed to. So now I was getting frustrated. I had to walk away. I was walking away from it because it was frustrating so much, because it kept getting such a bad like lag because it couldn't keep up with the program I was using, right? But before that, and back to now, because now I'm doing it the way I did it before, I'll start working on like colors, right? And I'll get a page flatted, and then from there I look away from it and start working on inks, and then I'll do inks until I get hungry, and then grab food, go. And right now it's like whenever my kids are hungry, because I'm never hungry when they're hungry. And so whenever my kids are like, "Dad, we're hungry," okay, that means I need to pick my head up, because clearly I'm not, because I'll go until like the afternoon and not eat, and not even think about it, because I'll be listening to music and working. But with them being home, that makes it, my breaks are easier to schedule in because my kids help me take a break, right?
Yep. I get that.
Not really.
I don't know what it's in reference to, but yeah. David,
no, I don't see that prediction being true. Like, I think my workload is about to pick up, actually. But that's what I do. Like, I'll if I keep inking, like I'll stay focused on one thing, and it takes me forever to get a page done. So I have to like step away and go do something else. Or if I'm doing something traditionally, I learned from Tom Mandrake that like when he did his inks and whatnot, he would do an ink, put it aside, work on another page, put it aside, work on another page, and then cycle back to the first one again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Mostly to let the inks dry, I guess. But from what he said to me, but yeah, like traditionally, that's what I do. Like if I'm inking in traditionally, then I jump from page to page to page to page, like throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
And then get up, walk around a little bit, go pick up the kids. That's usually my break, is to go pick up the kids, to walk away from it. So I think for the most part, it's easy for me because the nature of my everyday life kind of facilitates a break in it, regardless of whether I want it or not.
Sure.
So it's very helpful.
So for those of you wondering, if you want to get like a hard clock race on day, just have a kid.
Yep. Right. Which is funny, because I actually had someone say, "Oh, I don't hardly get any work done because I have kids." I was like, I don't understand that one, because I have 4. It's like, well, how do you get any work done? I was like, well, my kids are older now, but even when they were little, I'd put them on my lap and I could still work on a tablet. You know what I mean? Yeah. You just got to reach across to hit your hotkeys.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a video editor, and he has 2 kids, and that's what we'll do is we'll have one up on his lap while he's like scrubbing through footage. Yeah. David, we already kind of talked about your kind of idea of bouncing back between different things, but do you have any other mechanisms or things you do while you're working on something that same day.
Sorry, you caught me right as I was reading something. I mean, literally, I was just reading something that Roland put in.
Nice.
So, can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so you already kind of mentioned how you've will sometimes bounce between different things, like either different parts of the same project or just different layers. But do you have other mechanisms or any other ways you do of either breaking up your work or forcing in breaks or doing something during your work day?
Well, it's kind of interesting you're doing that. You're kind of mentioning this now. Well, right now I'm kind of bouncing around on other stuff. My wife has been playing around with doing some flatting and stuff for me, and so actually I've kind of been bouncing between getting some like color guide stuff for her, and some of the like some of the line art things for effects and stuff, and doing some flatting myself, doing rendering. So I'm doing a lot of bouncing around on things. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna share my screen because I think Roland likes likes to see things going on. Let's see here, share. Sure. All right, so I don't know if you can go ahead and arrange this however you want, but this is some of the stuff I'm just bouncing around back and forth. But I started doing this book originally with a lot of cutting into the line art and stuff like that. So a lot of these effects here with the colored line art and things like that, I'm actually cutting these through and separating it out of the line art channel. So things like, some of these effects are on different channels. Now, the next book I'm working on, I'm changing it up and I'm just modifying the line art in the line art channel with different colors. So I'm going to be doing that a little different. That's more the modern way that they're doing it rather than these color holds. But that gives me a break, and where I do something different, where I'm cutting things and stuff like that. But the other thing is mentioning is I'm doing some stuff with these color works, and let me go through here and open something up real quick. So this is another page of the book where I went through, and I actually, if I take this stuff out here, is I did some flats. Actually, she did the flats. I did some color guides. So sometimes what I'll go through is I want to lay out the colors, but I'm not that, I don't want to spend the time on going through and, doing the lines and stuff and the cuts. So what I'll do is I'll give her like these color guides here. So that allows me to, fairly easily just go in and, brush through it real quick, kind of, lay out my colors. I've made some changes and stuff with some of the things with consistency with the book. Whereas you can see here, his jacket and shirt changed based off of other instances on the book. But originally I had laid it out with a different color scheme. So for me to go through and do that, that's kind of a breakup. So if I feel like, I'm doing the rendering and all that, which is, what I ended up doing here, these are the finished renderings of it. I will jump to do, the kind of marker comp type color guides. And that kind of separates things out. The other thing that I did was when I started doing rendering is I started putting a timer on my work. So it's like, if left to my own devices, my mind drifts, I go through, I get lost, and all of a sudden I'm doing a character that I'm sitting there and
3 days later, you're on
3 days later, I've got every
on the same page.
every piece of hair redone. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
and spelled out. So that's why, if I put myself on a timer, I tend to kind of limit myself and say, okay, I got to get back to the timer because I don't want to spend the time on here, and I don't tend to drift. So it kind of forces me to do it.
Yeah.
As far as breaks and stuff like that in it, there is the back and forth between, flats, line art, color guides, stuff like that. But also getting up, restroom breaks, just getting up and walking around and stuff like that. Because, I'm my day job is I work for IT. I'm in in the computer department. I'm a remote worker and I do everything. So I'm in the chair all day long, and then I get up and move over here and in the chair. So I have to force myself to get up and walk around, see what the cats are doing,
Yeah.
whatever, and just refresh, reset, and then come back
Definitely.
and do it. So
Yeah. That is actually kind of brings up the next idea of a micropoint. And so going beyond what, maybe within our own list of experience, but what is clinically recommended for people taking breaks if you're in a creative or long-term involvement profession? And one of them is some sort of physical activity, whether it's walking around, doing a lap around the block, something like that. I am lucky enough, and this is probably more of like the West Coast thing, but I live on a bike trail that's also built for skateboarders and longboarders.
Nice.
So I will, if I'm stuck on something and like the words aren't going, and I bounce over to what I'm editing and the words aren't going there. I was like, all right, I'll pop in my earbuds and I'll longboard to the end of the trail and back. And just the idea of getting out and moving and doing something with your body, getting your mind off the project, getting it away from your eyes. If we're writing, at least, it feels like it allows you to sit back down fresh and start new on it. And kind of allows you to get back to the creative process. So I'm interested in as artists, does getting up and moving around and doing something physical have that same sort of effect where if you're working on something and it feels kind of dry, does getting up and moving around and doing something help when you get back down and sit in front of it again?
I don't get up very often. I mean, yeah, I do, like I said, but mostly it's walking around the house.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I don't like going outside. I live in Florida and it's hotter than sin.
You got more humidity for sure.
Yeah, but I've already talked to a friend of mine, and I'm gonna start hitting the gym with him just to change things up for me.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. I might die, but so if you guys don't hear from me for a while, just know I died at the gym.
Sure.
I won't kill you.
Nah. I just had to. Vic, I'll help you out with your boxing card and let you know you can change your move if you want. Because unfortunately, my schedule and the one boxing gym we have in the area has kind of mismatched at this point, so I haven't been able to go. So I have had to pull back my membership there, and I'm now back with a traditional weightlifting crew working on more of a power and bodybuilding style regimen rather than boxing. But yeah, it'll be good for you, Jose. Look forward to seeing you being stacked and jacked the next time.
I have to start going to the gym. First time I ever saw Tim, I was like, oh, Tim's about as tall as me, big as me and whatnot. So like I'm gonna be able to talk smack to him and whatnot. And then I met him and he's like a freaking Sasquatch. So I was like, oh, Tim, hi, how you doing?
Yeah. My coach has described me as a sleeper 250.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
So I gotta get up there so I can actually start talking smack to Tim, and he won't feel like he could squish me.
Definitely.
Then we go to Del Taco.
There you go. Those ones are good.
And your Del Taco.
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Vic says he usually walks to the comic shop, picks up his stuff, and goes back. And you know, that's a solid walk, and I'll
Yeah.
start getting something out of it.
Depending on, like, actually, it doesn't even matter how far away it is.
Yeah.
I know before I had a family, I used to literally walk everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I didn't walk, I was skateboarding, and
Oh yeah.
sometimes you even walked with your skateboard because gravel.
Yeah.
So I just need. I kind of wanted to get back into skating, but I'm like, I'm 100 years old, and that might not bode well. People are gonna laugh at me.
So you can always get into longboarding because it's a little easier to balance, and it's just built for cruising.
I can't do that. I used to skate concave boards, and if I do a longboard, like, all my skater friends are gonna make fun of me.
Yeah.
But then I'll tell them I know Tim, and that guy's a Sasquatch. So
Yes.
please don't talk smack to me because he'll beat you up.
See, here's the thing though, is that if you become the person who can do a kickflip on a longboard, it's immediately more impressive than anyone on like a standard board.
I have seen that on YouTube. Would never have thought that was a possibility.
It's immediately more impressive than anyone riding a regular skateboard.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we did go ice skating. Like this past weekend, we went ice skating for my daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
I kind of want to start going back because that was a blast. I did not fall. Thank you.
Nice. There we go. I mean, I want to see that speak at a college a couple years down from now. So I was like, yeah, when you take a break, let's go out and like do a little ice skating, you know?
Right. In Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing is sometimes I'll just get out and it's like lunchtime or whatever. I also ride motorcycles. I have
Nice.
I have a Honda CBR 500 and I have a Honda Rebel 1100. So sometimes it's just an excuse to jump on the bike and go to Target or just something to get out.
Exactly. Yeah. You just need to get out of the house and doing something. Yeah.
Yeah. And, in California, most of the time it's fairly sunny here. So I don't run into a lot of rain and stuff like that very often.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing.
Definitely. Yeah. That's the nice thing about West Coast weather is it is well suited for doing stuff outside without. Well, we get a little bit. We get rain here, but not as bad as Washington or Montana. So we're good. But another thing that
it's greener there too, Tim.
It is greener. Yeah. Yeah, we're out and you don't feel like you're sweltering when you walk out.
Right.
This fresh plant provided oxygen.
I have a cousin in Mount Hood.
Oh yeah.
And he's been trying to get me out there.
Definitely. We do have some of the best snowboarding in the area, and I believe we have the largest. We have the largest after dark snowboarding park in the country.
That's pretty dope. Yeah. That's cool.
I think second behind us is Buttermilk in Colorado, but as far as like areas specifically designed for after dark, I think Mount Hood has them beat. And I say about riding after dark is it's cheaper. But the other thing that usually gets recommended a bit, and we've had a touch on this as well, is scheduled breaks. Usually, your LinkedIn gurus will recommend like a hard schedule, but it's also possible to have a loose schedule on your break. Like Jose said, it's whenever the kids want to eat.
Yeah.
But there's there's methodologies like the Pomodoro method and things where you set yourself a work stopwatch or something or anything like that, where you're on 30 minutes, you're off 15 minutes, you're on 30 minutes, you're off 15 minutes, stuff like that. Or break it up into like 15 and 15 chunks. I forgot what it is, but like it's the 5-5-5 rule or whatever, something like every hour something, or No, it's the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, take 20 seconds to look at something 20 yards away to help your eyes reset.
That actually is pretty sound.
Yeah. Or tell my mom. I've said it earlier. Yeah. But things like that to help break up the workload and give herself and force herself to take time away, even if you're not really doing much of that time. I've messed around with the Pomodoro method myself. I did that quite a bit in college, and that was actually quite helpful with the workload there. That's probably one of the reasons why I didn't burn out in college like I did in high school, was knowing how to break up my workload.
Your college was pretty intensive too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got my bachelor's in 2 years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
So knowing like how to break up a workload, so you can do something that would seem like a lot of work, but you're breaking up time in the actual project load, so it's not as aggressive.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to pretty much schedule what I'm doing from day to day. Like today, I took a break. I did some inking, but I took a break and just spent time with my son. You know what I mean? Just played video games, but we just, you know what I mean? It was time away. No. But like yesterday, I did just inking. The day before that, I worked on coloring pages. So like, if I don't do that, I'll come in the next morning and be like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I could do this. Wait, I'll do this. Wait, I need to do this. Like, if I don't have it like set up, then it tends to be a little wonky for me, and I'll just be indecisive the rest of the day.
Yeah. Kind of like, for instance, for me today, I have been in meetings since 9 a.m. With a break for lunch and a break for dinner, and by when this stream finishes at 9:30, that'll be the first moment I have today by myself, not doing anything that like work or creative.
Right.
So I haven't had a chance to like write anything, but I've just been dealing with work stuff all day. So of course, you know, in between, like I forced a 15-minute break between meetings to go out into the hallway and play some Marvel Snap, build some decks, do something on my phone, but then get back into it.
But that little bit of time, that little bit of time helps.
Oh yeah, it makes you actually able to like, you know, get back in and not glaze over as much the rest of the day. Yeah.
Like my wife has to remind me, and I know it sounds bad, but my wife has to, hey, you want to watch a movie? Well, I got some stuff to do. Yeah, but we take a break and watch a movie. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let's like, thanks, babe. I appreciate you. So yeah, she's like, you want to watch Renfield? I'm like, yes, we talked about watching that. I need to step away and let's watch it.
Yes. Definitely.
Speaking of, you know, the game, sorry, I'm taking this off topic a little bit. Have either of you looked at the Lord of the Rings Magic?
I've been
decks. Cards.
I've been following a little bit. The artwork is just astounding, but the one thing I'm not a fan of Wizards doing is being money hungry and doing that forced collectability on the one ring card, like doing the one true ring. After how much faith they lost with their 30-year anniversary packs, like I spend $1,000 for 6 fake cards, whatever that deal was. Yeah, I'm like doing something just to drive up the price of a card aftermarket. At this point, very annoying. If they hadn't done something like that, that would have been great.
Right.
But just after how much they've shown their hand of being greedy recently, it feels a little dirty.
From what I've been told, what's hot now is like people like to get their land cards and have people draw on them.
Yeah.
Right. I actually got commissioned to do a land card.
That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, custom
He's like,
lands.
whatever you want to draw on it. I was like, does it have to be land stuff? He's like, no, it could be whatever. You could, if you want to draw like Goku or something like that, you can do that. I'm like, oh, okay.
You mean, just like land cards for like forest, mountains, stuff like that?
Like
You're just modifying those?
Yeah, I guess
Or
there's specific cards. Let's see.
They'll do like they have some like those open frame cards where they're open art cards where there's like
these are like the white cover marvels and stuff, or okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Okay.
Nothing fancy, just a mountain. It's got weird stuff on it, and I can do whatever I want to it.
Hey, Tommy. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, Tommy. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll get any. I mean, if they do like a pre-con commander deck, I may pick up one. If they do one like for Aragorn or something like that. But other than that, I think the most I'm going to be involved with it is just getting like a Aragorn playmat. Aragorn or Boromir.
It just seems like it's kind of the big thing right now. Everybody's going through it, and I see things in some of the comic shops and stuff like that. That's the big thing right now, and the standard packs being something like $8, something like that is a little rough.
Yeah. After Yu-Gi-Oh already kind of soured me on Magic with just how much more consumer friendly their pricing model is, and then Marvel Snap being entirely free.
Right.
I was like I'll buy pre-con decks and I'll buy singles if I need it, but I'm kind of done with the chase for Magic cards. Also, depending on your game community, like if you have a big enough crowd to play with just casually, proxies are a thing you can do.
I've heard that was a thing too. I didn't know what that was. I had to have somebody explain it to me.
Oh yeah.
And for anybody that's on here, I'm not a Magic player, so
yet.
Give a little grace, please.
That's what we'll do. Next time in Florida, I'll take you along board and we'll play a game of Magic.
All right.
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah, I used to play years ago, and my wife had some stuff. Had her play for a little bit and all that. So I have a lot of the old stuff that they've done, like all the dual lands and stuff from I think I started about fifth edition, but it was available to get like some of the Mox Sapphire, stuff like that. So I've got some of those cards, but they just continually came out, and then they came out with a lot of themes like other stuff. So yeah. It's just, I'm surprised it's still going as strong as it is.
Right. I also realized I have some land on my desk as well.
Awesome.
Getting back on topic. We'll kind of take this. Well, kind of take this into the idea of taking a macro break. So, we're talking about breaking up your workload on the same day that you're working on stuff. So this is now the moments where you'd be either like vacationing from creating comics or just working in general, or scheduling days where you're going to put your pencil down and not touch something, which if you're if you're going hot on something, you probably don't want to do. But if you're in between projects, or you're at a point where you are just so done on something, or something just isn't going the way you want it, you might need to take a day to not touch it, just to avoid that frustration mounting until you're completely fed up with it.
Oh, we're talking about just days? Okay. Just like a day or so? Okay. Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. Sometimes from actual work, you may, I recommend definitely taking a week off from that at least once a year.
So my problem with doing that, right, is that my first year of school, half the reason I had my panic attack was because Christmas break came.
Oh, yeah.
And I started playing Assassin's Creed Origins.
Right?
Amazing game. I love it because I loved Egypt. And when school started back up, I was still playing. And I found it very hard to break away from it.
Yes.
Like, not because addiction and all that, but because I love the game. I love the setting so much that I just wanted to keep playing. I just wanted to keep doing more missions in that area and in that time period.
Yeah.
And my schoolwork suffered.
Yeah.
I saved it. I picked it back up. I regrouped, and you know what I mean? But it was definitely hard. And like I said, I had a panic attack.
Yeah, well, definitely, there's definitely something to be said there about, perhaps taking like an unhealthy break versus taking like a healthy break.
Right.
Something, where if it's an unhealthy break maybe carries over and it stays past where it's supposed to.
So if I take time off, I like a big amount of time off, I tend to be, it tends to be rough for me to get back, right? To get back into the groove. So even when I'm on vacation, I have to take something to work on.
Sure.
Like it doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to be big, but like, oh, I'm going to take our 10 days doing this where we're on vacation. My brain doesn't shut off at night. So while everyone's going to bed, I'm still up thinking of the stuff I'm working on.
Yeah.
And so I take it and work on something. So the best part about that is that I have my iPad to do it because that's what I do my inking on.
Yeah. I sometimes will do the same, because similarly, when I'm away from everything is when my brain starts grinding the best.
Yeah,
and so
I can see that.
Yeah, so usually I'll start pre-writing something. I won't take anything like any heavy projects. I won't bring something in the middle of drafting or in the middle of editing with me, but I might start a new pre-write or something like that. But I try not to take any of like the hefty projects with me. Also, kind of to a point, I've been finding it really beneficial if I'm taking like a long time off to actually do like a full unplug. Like I'm like
dropping my social media and stuff.
Yeah, social media, dropping my not taking my consoles with me. Oh, maybe my Switch, but
you better watch yourself.
But generally not being online or dealing with anything other than like, maybe like the hotel TV or like a couple movies wrong with me, but usually just spending as much time away from everything as possible. So when I get back into the area where where my Assassin's Creed is, I'm also back in the area where my work is, so I can get back into them at the same pace, rather than having one carry over more so than the other. Because it can also be an issue like the death of a lot of marriages, that bringing too much work into your vacation, similarly bringing too much vacation into your work. Either one is usually not a good thing. But tying it into Magic gave me an idea. One thing I know a lot of people do for their breaks, especially in kind of this age group, is very frequently you have weekend tournaments for tabletop games, like Magic or Warhammer or something like that, where you can take a weekend to be unplugged from work, and you're set in and you have very clear expectations for yourself that weekend. Like, I'm just here to play 5 games of Magic. I'm just here to play 5 games of Warhammer, hang out with friends, let's spend a little too much money at the bar afterwards. But forcing yourself to away from all of your other expectations to just knowing that you're just here to have a good time and do something for a set amount of time. So it gives you a clear out on transitioning back from break time to work life, but it gives you that period away without necessarily presenting too much space for you to bring work onto vacation with you or vacation into work with you.
So you're like, I came here to play 5 games of Magic and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Critter Block's more writer's thing. I have more. I'm too tired to work than I have in a block. I mean, in terms of like writer's block, it's probably more ubiquitous with writing, but I've definitely heard stories of illustrators being stuck on a design that is not designed neatly. Nami just never feels right, or if you're
layout doesn't seem right. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not sitting right with you.
Yeah.
So when I did the cover for Obsoletes, I know I interrupted you. I sorry. Tim.
No, go for it. Yeah.
When I did the cover for Obsoletes, I roughed it out like digitally, printed it out, and slapped it onto my drawing desk, and just left it there and kept walking past it and looking at it and walking past it, like not even touching it. Just keep looking at it. It's like something doesn't seem right. Like I wanted to pop in a certain way, and then I realized that I needed to flip the characters. They were facing the wrong direction.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Once I did that, it was like it all made sense. I think it all laid out better.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for me, I have to if I'm doing a cover or something, which I have another one in the works. I have it. You have to print it out and put it on the board and just let it sit there.
Definitely, I get that. Yeah, but Ken and I already got a little bit from Jose, but I'll open the floor up with you guys again. So talking about macro breaks, what are some of your? I mean, don't necessarily need to get into like full like vacation plans, but if you're planning on taking a day or two away from your creative work, if like your work just isn't jiving, or you feel the need to step away from it so you can get back to it with more energy, what are some of your signs that that's happening, and what are some of your, do you have a methodology of doing that, or is it literally just I'm going to go about the rest of my life and not touch this for 2 days as much as I can? Sometimes you have a thought in the middle of the night and you get back into it, but what's that experience like for you guys if you do that, or do you usually just wait until you end up needing to take a full week away from everything?
Were you asking David that? I would wait on David to answer.
I don't know if you were asking for the people tuning in, if you're asking me, asking
anyone, everyone.
Well, for me, I don't I don't really see myself being able to take the macro breaks unless we have something going, like we're doing Comic-Con. So typically we're doing San Diego Comic-Con at the end of July. So we're going like a day ahead, get set up. We're taking our trailer, so it's kind of be the show plus kind of a semi-camping thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Nice.
So typically, if I do end up doing like macro breaks, it's typically because we're doing something else.
Sure.
But most of the time, if I'm here, it's a matter of it may be more micro breaks, or it's just hit it and change things around. It's not I don't typically go through and plan anything like a macro break. It's typically something else driving it.
Sure.
So,
but
I should.
take a macro break, it's because my wife has said so.
That's fair.
Because my wife loves to plan vacations, and we are now, for the most part, at a place where we can financially plan to do something. You know what I mean? That she's always wanted to do that we couldn't do before, but now we can, right? Like we're planning on taking a cruise in November. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've done cruises before, nothing fancy, but she wants to take a Disney cruise, and she wants to do it it's actually the end of November, beginning of December, but it counts as like a Christmas cruise for Disney, right?
Mm,
and it's something my wife wanted to do, and she's like, can we do this? And I'm like, you tell me, can we do this? Can we have the money to pay for it? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, then let's do it.
Yeah.
So, but like most of the time, most of the planning, it's because she's like, we need to get out of the house. We need to do something. I'm like, okay. She's like, but I'm working on something. She's like, no, you need to get out of the house. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she does, because if I were up to me and up to my scheduling myself, I probably would not. I've had friends already tell me like, hey, you never come out. I was like, how come you don't want to hang out anymore? I was like, dude, I don't leave the house. I don't go anywhere. Like, unless someone gets me out of the house, I, of my own volition, do not leave.
Yes.
I tend to just stay home and work.
He's the one who needs to be invited everywhere. Yeah.
I kind of am, but not because like, oh, I'm important, but like, otherwise I won't even think about it. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
I know that one. I'm exactly the same way. I my day job is remote worker, 100% remote worker.
Yeah.
And I jump to this. I very rarely ever go through.
Sure.
It is my wife. My wife does do a lot of the driving for trips, and yes, we've done the Disney cruises. It's one of my wife's favorite things. Mm-hmm. So I know, Jose, you will enjoy it. We did. We did like Alaska. We've done some of the Caribbean ones. So you will enjoy it. And,
nice.
But yeah, you need to do that. And typically my wife is the one that's driving that, because she needs a break.
Yeah.
As well. So
yeah, I'm usually pretty decent at being my own advocate. I know when I have burnout happening, that's when I'll
You've already gone through that, right? You said you
Okay.
went through that in high school. So
yeah. So I've gone through it. Like I'll reach out to my editor and be like, I'm going to take 2 days. Yeah. As far as like scheduled macro breaks, I'm about the same. I usually take about like maybe 1 or 2 a year. This year it's going to be Aftershock Festival over in San Francisco.
nice.
That'll be fun. But yeah, usually it is just something that if at the point where I've just been doing too much, I feel that I have essentially burnt all my energy working on something, and the idea of sitting down to write is frustrating. Usually what I'll do is I'll just take a day or something and spend it being productive in another way. Usually like either end up spending that entire day reading, so I'm taking in someone else's writing, so and I help myself process it that way, or I don't ride bikes as much as I've considered though, but I
You're
do.
no Tommy.
Nah. But I've always been a muscle car person, so I went from Ford Thunderbird to Mustang, Shelby body. So similar to David, where I'll just find an excuse to spend a day driving.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I will say, when I completely finished
Doing stuff, you gotta be strapped to a table.
kind of
Yeah.
I mean, as an artist, like I saw this, obviously TikTok as a whole, right? But I saw a TikTok video, and it's like people like tend to pick the audio out of it and use it for their own stuff, and it said that if you're an artist, you know what I mean, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life, and that's bull. If you love what you do, then you work harder than anybody else at what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same principle. If you love what you do, you want to put that time in. It's hard work. You work your butt off, but the difference is you like doing it, and every time you do it, you get better. You realize something that you've done that's like, oh, you know what? I could have done that better doing it this way. I could have colored this page a little differently. David did it this way, and that worked out really well. I can like pack that in my brain as like that's a an option that I can like look into doing for anything I do, right? Same principle. Like you are going to be antisocial ish, but if you have good friends and you have good family and whatnot, a good support team, then they're gonna pull you out to go get away, take unplug for a little bit, like Tim said.
Yeah, a good friend is going to know when you need to focus on something and when you've been focused for too long.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a bad friend will say, just come out. Like, dude, just do whatever. Just come on out. Like, forget about it. Just come on out. Like, I get that, but if they don't see what you're doing, and understand, like, hey, listen, I have a deadline. I have to get this done. This is where I'm at. Like, okay, great. When you're done with that, we're dipping, right? Yeah. So, like, when I finished Obsoletes, I took, I think, at least a week break to work on like some commissions I still got to finish up, but work on commissions, just leisurely stuff that like I can just like fiddle with and get done and make it look, you know what I mean? But that isn't deadline related.
And that's something that's also, it's like a macro version of a brain break. The idea that you're taking a break from the big projects to do like still be creative, still have your brain engaged, but doing stuff that isn't as taxing or that is in some way almost like therapeutic for the taxing artwork.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's actually pretty legit, pretty right on.
Yeah. Like I said, like if I'm going on something, I won't bring a big project, but I'll do like a pre-write, or I'll just kind of do like world building stuff, like work on a story Bible, just, spend some time wondering what this fantasy town's lumber economy looks like.
You know what? It's not that I don't do this on the regular, but it's funny because I do enjoy, like, I used to take my artwork to my mother-in-law's and work on my mother-in-law's, and like, but that still made me like not social with even my mother-in-law and the kids in the house. Right? So I kind of started like, I would still take it with me because you never know where I'm going to go, where I might have to stop somewhere and like stay forever somewhere. So I always take my stuff with me anyway. But I've gotten to the habit of like dropping my bag off at my mother-in-law's and working on a puzzle. She has she has like layers on top of her table. She's got a big long like 10-person table, and it's only her in the house, and she has like a layer of puzzle and then a tablecloth over it and a layer of puzzle and a tablecloth over it. So yeah, I've taken to like working on some of the puzzles she does because it shuts your brain off, but you're still like logistically, using your brain for stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's I forgot. Was it Dr. K? A guy on YouTube called The Healthy Gamer. He's a licensed therapist, but he also talks about like, one of the things that I was why creatives usually end up resonating so much with the video games for at least for like the current set of creatives in the current generation and all that. He's saying, it's a period where you have set goals and expectations and set inputs, so your brain kind of turns off those parts, but the part that is set to appreciate art and to receive dopamine hits, it stays on. So you're just receiving dopamine without expectation. So like for a creative where you are nothing but expectation on yourself and maybe getting dopamine if you get good feedback. It's saying it kind of flips that response for you, so it allows you to have another positive engagement with art in a way that is still mentally demanding in a way, because you still have to hit those button combinations in the correct order.
Right.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that. I mean, depending on the game, like for me, it's challenge based, like you first said. You know what I mean? Like right now, I'm like half playing through DayZ.
Oh yeah.
And I just because of a friend of mine, I just learned how to do more than just die.
Nice.
And so like combine like weapon pieces together and stuff like that. Like I didn't know how to do that before, so I died a lot, so I stopped playing. But because of that, like that's problem solving, right? Because you have to like you find the bullets and you have to find the mag, you have to put them together, then you put it together with the gun, then you put down the attachment, but you have to find all the like, then you have to feed yourself. And then I found out that today that if you are driving a car and you leave the door open, it will drain the battery.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because any other game, you drive a car like Grand Theft Auto, you just leave the door open, you walk away, it doesn't matter, right? This game actually like puts that into like, you know what I mean, as part of the process. So I've learned this, but like that's problem solving. Let's say you're trying to figure stuff out without like the constraints of being on your deadline. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I totally understand that. I totally get that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. And sometimes like I said earlier, like I've definitely had the issue where maybe like back in the day World of Warcraft or now Final Fantasy 14 might carry over a little too much into the post-break life, but
That's true.
definitely, but everything in moderation. You have to learn how to moderate your time in your break. Yeah.
I try not to have, like, if I'm going to take a game day where I'm playing video games, I try to do it only like maybe try my best to do it once a month. Right. And that game's, I'm usually playing something with my boy or just anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if it's playing Zumba. If anybody remembers what Zumba is, or that frog that shoots the balls and you have to like match them up on that. Even that's just shut the brain off and work.
Yeah. I do it a bit more frequently than that, but my social circle, that's kind of, the thing is, But I try to do it in spaces where I'm not working. So like I have a separate work computer than my gaming computer. I do it in a separate room, or if I'm working, usually I'll go to like a coffee shop or something. So that way they don't cross, like wires don't cross in my brain.
Right. Well, I like listening to my music. I like listening to whatever show. Like right now I'm in the middle of kind of watching like Night Court, like the old 80s, 90s show.
Yes.
And because I can just listen to it. I watched it when I was little and I just listened to it. But I'm actually turned away from like, if you right there is my like archway to go into my living room. Yeah. Right. So my TV is behind me And if I don't have anything on, I like to hear whatever Deb's listening to or whatever the kids are watching.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like to listen to it, but if I have put the desk on the other side, I'm gonna sit here and do this
Right.
the entire time. I'm not gonna work. So that's why I'm facing this way.
Right. Yeah. That is a downside of being a writer. Is like anything with dialogue or anything with whatever I'm tuned in, and it's gonna mess with my own writing.
Yeah, it's gonna catch your attention, and
Yeah. It's like even if I'm like listening to music while working, it's all stuff without lyrics. It's all just like ambient guitar music or orchestral. Right.
Yeah, I've got this thing that I gotta turn around and start playing.
Oh yeah.
Final Fantasy 16.
16, yes. I've been
find time for that.
Yeah. I just watched. Unfortunately, I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I have to wait for the limited exclusivity window to release.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to come to a PC in December. I think they said 6 months afterwards. But I've been trying to see as many spoiler-free reviews as possible, and everyone is just raving about it, and I'm dying on the inside waiting.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it, so but I went and picked it up, but I don't know when. I want to play it and play around with it.
I'm still trying to get a friend to give me or let me borrow their PS5 or 4 so I can play Last of Us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like that. I watched the show and that was pretty awesome. And now I want to play the game.
All right.
Nobody likes to give up their PlayStation, I guess.
Not typically. Not with how expensive those things are.
Right.
Everyone writing legit just made a solid. Yeah. If you're listening to anything, like if I'm writing something that's like highly stylized, I will for sure watch or listen to or read a bunch of stuff that is in that same style beforehand, but I won't do it during because I want the influence, but don't want to copy directly, but it will like just having words spoken while you're writing will influence the words that you're putting down.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm writing Wolf Hunter, I didn't watch or read anything sci-fi for a while because I wanted 1940s language. And so it's, I know some writers' brains aren't like mine, but for me and a couple other people I know that I talk to, you're very susceptible to just words as they're spoken around you, which is also why if you need a brain break as a writer, go to a coffee shop and just people watch.
It was you listen to all Churchill speeches.
Yeah. Actually, I did. There's a bunch of newscasts that got recorded by the BBC. It's like they have like you can look up like on the BBC archives like recorded newscasts from they're like done while there was like bombing raids going on.
Interesting.
So you can hear the sirens, you can hear them talking about it and stuff like that. And so that was actually very helpful.
So I was right.
Yeah. And yeah, we are coming up on our last bit here. So does anyone else have any notes or anything you want to say on the topic of breaks, micro breaks, macro breaks, anything in between?
I just say try and schedule them. Just try and do it. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard work to schedule that stuff, but they are so important. It's your mind tends to go, and drift into things, and the next thing you know, you just start to lose, track of where you are, and things way down and all that. So it's just a reset. So try to make those as much as you can, and it's just more of a beneficial mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So
right, get out of the house more often.
Yeah. Touch grass, as the kids say.
Right.
Yeah. And if you are already in a funk, prioritize taking that extra day to just kind of unplug and get away from everything to do like a full purge. But yeah, this has been that Silverline show on Tuesday. Next week we will be shooting off fireworks and eating hot dogs.
Yes, we will.
And then the week after, we'll be talking about, I believe we're talking about costume changes because that was going to be our topic last week, but stuff happened.
For like characters?
Yep, characters. So we already had that one. Yeah, so we had that one episode that was on overall character changes. This is going to be specifically on design changes. So we'll probably get into some like the fun comics business of the fact that, you know, artists will change on properties and they don't draw the same, or sometimes an artist wants to try something new and it tests well. Significant first time. Yeah, exactly. We will all everyone make sure to message Pete on the 4th.
Yes. Absolutely. Send Pete a message. Tell him happy Independence Day and we're thinking of you. Every year on 4th of July, I get a message from Pete. Like I wake up, because obviously his hours are different. I get a message from Pete on my phone. It says, happy Trader Day. You're grateful ingrates or something like that. But like every year I wake up in the morning waiting to grab my phone to see if Pete messaged me or not.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, well, we are helping next week, or next week we'll no topics, but the week after talking on costume design and overall design changes. Not just costume, but
That's
also
cool.
So we will see you then, and until that time,
make mine Silverline. Yeah, I still don't have the merch thing. I still need the make mine Silverline thing.
Roll will get one to you eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi, I'm Bill Black. I created FemForce, but you know what? Today, make mine Silverline.